Hi everyone,
and welcome to another episode of ITT Podcast, which stands for In This Together Podcast. Our podcast is our honest take on relationships, love, and marriage, with the aim of sharing our views and experiences for you to take from it whatever you need.
So whether you're single, dating, in a relationship, or happily married, there is something in it for you.
Hi everyone! Today's episode is called Why Buy the Cow When You Can Get the Milk for Free? Now, Frank did not like this title, but it's something that's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And we're going to be talking about how much should you allow yourself to act like a husband or wife in a relationship that is not fully committed. So you're not married.
Yeah.
And maybe you do want to get married. So how much of that should you actually allow?
Yeah.
So the saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? What does it mean to you, Frank? And why do you not like it? Because technically you didn't even want us to name it this.
Yeah, because the way I see it the way it says, the cow. Like, yeah, but all I think about is cow and milk. It's like,
no, but it's not an actual...
I know what you're saying. I know. I just don't like the saying. I think it's... Could we not come up with another words for it?
I mean... Most people do know the why buy the cow saying, and I think it's one of those things where, because we're talking about committing in a relationship that you're not fully committed in, where you're not married, you haven't kind of taken that leap, a lot of the times people say things like, oh, well, why should I be doing stuff for you? I'm not your husband.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So basically, why should a woman do all the wife stuff when she's not married to you, right?
But not just the woman.
Obviously, the man is more like, obviously, why should a man behave like a husband to you?
Yeah, when he's not. And it's an interesting point. I think there's a lot we can say to kind of break it down. So, yeah, what does it mean to you? I understand why you don't ask it. I'll give it that. What does it mean to you?
I get it. I understand the saying. And I think it's absolutely right to ask that question.
Yeah.
So to me, it's good that people analyze that before they fully commit, before they fully give themselves to anyone.
Yeah.
So I do agree with the saying. I just don't, just the milk and the cow bit, that just throws me up every time I hear it. So what about you? I mean, you love the saying, you're always saying it. So what does it mean?
So do I always say it?
Yeah, you say it quite a lot. Like, you say it quite a lot.
Is it just since we've been talking about this episode?
Even before that, like in the past, you said it like in like things that have happened on like social media and stuff when, you know, there've been like discussions, you'd be like, well, clearly like,
why buy
the weekend, you know, like when guys are like, you know, misbehaving and stuff on social media, you just be like, well, you know, the way what the women are behaving is kind of like, well,
why buy the cow? Yeah. I tend to say why buy the cow, and I don't mean the woman is a cow, but I just mean it's that notion, and we all know what I mean.
Why commit when you can keep getting it for free?
Yeah, when you can get the perks of what you should get in commitment for free. And I think that's a valid point.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about this?
Yeah. I would ask you that question. Why are we
Really? Was this my topic? Okay,
this was your topic. This was not my topic.
Yeah, I think it's an important topic. But anyway, I think the reason why we're talking about this is because I think it's crucial to kind of understand what steps you should be taking before marriage and what could be too much. Now, like we always say, ITT Podcast is our opinion. It is not Bible. You know, it's not it's not scripture. It's how we think about it. It's how we feel about it. And it's one of those things where we can only talk about it from our experience. And so for me, I think it's important to kind of break down some of the things that as a woman, I think a man should do for you to even get to the point where you want to commit to him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it'll be interesting, I think, for our listeners, for them to hear your perspective about about those things that I think, and then the things that I can do the same with the things that you think. So let's kind of define what we think acting like a spouse before marriage is.
Okay.
Who's going first?
Well, I'll go first. From a man's perspective, like, you know, if you listen to our previous podcast where we speak about, is it traditional men and traditional women? Mm-hmm. Right? We talk about the man paying everything. But for this topic, you should not be doing any of that. Or you shouldn't be going to that length until there's some form of commitment. So you need to give it, I would say about 25%.
Wow.
Yeah, or 30% until that commitment is there. Yeah, I know.
This is not serious.
I know. No. Let me finish. Hence why it is important for us men to take the lead, right? And then ensuring the commitment is there rather than the woman chasing us for it. Because we are expected to be the leaders, right?
Yeah, but how are you going to take the lead if you're only giving 25%?
But this is the point I'm trying to make. We can't give 120% when that relationship is not committed. It's not like you're not my wife, we're like boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
So it is for you as a man. If you are feeling like you want to give a lot more, that's a signal that it's time for you to then ask that question.
About marriage?
Yeah.
But what about the whole kind of, when they talk about the honeymoon period, the beginning of the relationship, the whirlwind romance, what about that stage where you fall madly in love with a woman and you don't know her enough yet? You know that she seems like someone you want to be with, but you still want to take your time getting to know her.
Yeah.
But you might feel in that beginning stage like you want to give more.
Yeah. You can give more. You should give more. But I think there are certain things you've got to scale back on. You've got to be able to hold back on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like women, men could get hurt as well. We do get hurt as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, okay, what I said 20%. I'm being stingy. I'm just being stingy. Yeah, sorry. I'm a tight fisted guy. Okay. 60%.
Oh, come on.
No. I'm a percentage. No. I'm a percentage kind of person. So No. I'm just thinking to myself. I'm just thinking like, obviously 20% is a bit. If you're giving 20%, she's not gonna want to be with you. Yes, that's a fact. So I'll say about 60%, about 60%.
Okay, so have I convinced you to up the...
Yeah, no, because I thought I had to think about it, and my first response was a bit like on a defensive kind of tip because I put myself in that position that I've just met a girl. But when you mentioned the whole, if you fall in love, like you fell in love with the girl, and you as a man, I mean, don't forget she's the prize. So if she's the prize, you have to be trying to. Let's just try and show her. So you need to give more. So even the 60% might
maybe
be enough.
Just the case of your percentage, as you like to see it, is increasing, and it, over time, as she earns it builds up. So I can understand that.
But you've got to be able to show her what you can do. Like show her what you can do for her, what you can bring to the table.
Yeah. Not the table. Leave the table out of it. Social media loves the table.
That's their business. As a man, you've got to be able to put your chips on the table and say, right, this is what I can do. This is me. And I think we men have to do that more than women.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some guys are like, they want to see what a woman can do before they show them.
And I think it goes back to something we talk about in season 1, where it's like, who's the prize?
Yeah.
I think there is something there around nowadays men feeling like, well, she needs to earn the title of a wife.
Yeah.
Whereas I've always seen it like, you have to show her that you're worthy of being her husband, like someone she should say yes to, because technically you're the one that's going to propose to her normally. Yeah. So to me, I've always seen it as the man needs to give a little bit more. Yeah. So when they talk about, oh, well, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
Yeah.
For me, because men hold the key most of the time on that commitment, I think that phrase applies a bit more to women. I think it's something that women need to think about a bit more, because if you're not going to propose to a man, and I'm the kind of person that I do not recommend proposing to a man, if you've done it and it worked for you, then it's fine. But I think because men tend to be the ones that are commitment phobes, sometimes, not all men, but because they tend to be that, I feel like you need to let him get to that point where he's comfortable making that commitment. You don't want that thrown back in your face. So I feel like if the man is the one that's going to kind of take that step and move the relationship to that level of engagement or marriage, obviously you're going to evaluate him as well. And you might say yes, you might say no. But I'm saying the question will often be asked by him. Then it's for him to put his best foot forward. Yeah. And it's for you to try and give enough to kind of sustain the relationship. Yeah. But not too much where what's the point of that?
That's why when you asked me the question, me saying 20%, I think I was answering for the women. Yeah. Because as a man, we pursue we pursue women. So it's a case of she should be giving 20%.
And increasing it.
Over time.
Well, 20, maybe.
Well, I mean, if you're a calculated person, you can have like milestones. Like when you reach certain milestones, you give him a bit more. You give him a bit more. You give him a bit more.
That's
show more commitment. So I think when I responded to that question, I was actually thinking about it from the other side, not from a man. Because from a man's point of view, you have to put your best foot forward. Because if you love her or you fell in love with her, you want her to stay. To stay with you. So you're going to be upfront. You want to show her you're serious. So you can't be giving no average.
Yeah, I don't think that's conducive to like a relationship where you're taking the lead and you're driving it forward as a man.
Yeah.
But also, I was thinking while you were talking as well, the question of what you should be doing, what you should be giving. There is an element as well of a man not giving too much as well. I still feel like men should give a bit more because they have to drive the relationship, but there is something around it's still applying to them as well.
But that's a good point.
A little bit. Maybe.
But how much do men really give? Like, if you think about what a man should be doing in a relationship, provide, protect, and is there another P? I think there's another P somewhere. I'm trying to make it 3P out. It's provide, protect, and
it might not be a P. It might be something.
Procreate. That might be. No, well, obviously,
it is pretty.
You would need him to do that, but provide and protect, right? So,
and that's the main ones, I think. Yeah.
If you love your girlfriend, you will protect them. It's the provided bit that has a question mark around it that people are, because a lot of guys they'll be like, no, don't talk to my girl like that. They're ready to stand and protect, but the provided bit is where I believe people are like stuck where they talk about that white
for the man. When we're looking at it from the man's point of view. Okay, well, let's explore that then. What does providing mean as a man?
Take care of everything.
Well, you always go to everything.
Take care of everything. But some men they may be at that 50-50.
Yeah.
Because obviously, they're not married. So they might come to that conclusion that, we should have a 50-50 kind of split. So that might be the sticky point.
Yeah. But I also think there's like, when you speak about providing, there's also levels of providing. So you could still provide for a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which could be quite different for you providing for a wife.
Yes. True.
I mean, what you provided for me as your girlfriend was different from what he provided when we got married.
Yeah, true. That's true. What did I provide again? What girlfriend?
I think, so I can
actually feel like I held back a little bit.
I didn't feel like you held back because I subscribe to this. I think you should only give a certain amount. We're not married.
Yeah.
So I would not expect you to do a whole bunch of stuff for me that I would expect would come from your wife. So I never felt like you weren't giving enough. And I think, you provided for me in the sense that you bought me things if I wanted things and all of that. So I didn't feel like you didn't provide. But you weren't paying my bills.
The bills, like your rent.
Until we kind of got to the point where we were living together while we were engaged.
Yeah.
You weren't really paying my bills, but you were giving me money.
Yeah.
And you were buying me things, which I think is sufficient. But some women today will say, well, if he's your boyfriend, he should pay your rent. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I feel like, unless you live together
and it's a solid relationship. When I talk about solid, I'm talking about like the direction you're both going is towards marriage or towards further commitment.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I feel like if he's got a lot of money, then maybe, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's a requirement.
Even if he has, I think the principles behind that is a bit shaky.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of women today would say, and I don't want to sound like a pick-me. I don't want to sound like I'm completely defending men, but I speak from my perspective and what I believe. I don't really care about how it sounds or which side I'm falling on when I say it. I do not expect a man who I'm not married to pay for my rent. Yeah. And that's not because I have low expectations, because I think if he can afford it, like let's say I've got with a man who's got a lot of money and he could pay for my rent and he can afford it and he offers to, I will let him do it, but I wouldn't expect that of him. And I think that's the difference.
Or start trying to select men, using that as a criteria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just because, I don't know, maybe because I grew up very independent. Maybe I'm too independent. Maybe it's about soft life nowadays, which I like soft life. I'm all here for soft life, but I don't think that you should be using that as a criteria on average men, on everyday men, because they're paying their rent and they're trying to probably save up, or they're trying to kind of build a future.
Yeah.
also paying your rent when you're not, like, how many girls are they going to pay rent for? Because they could end up married with someone completely different from the 6-7 girls they dated.
Yeah.
So if every woman had that criteria, I think it's a bit harsh. Yeah. And maybe I'm old school, you know. Maybe. I think it's a bit harsh on the average man. I mean, if he's above average, earns a lot of money, he's got it like that, and it's something he wants to do, that's fine. And I think you're probably going to need to be a certain type of woman to him in that relationship. Yeah. Because it's a bit of a dependent thing. Yeah. So he might expect you to be a bit more traditional, like we've spoken about in the past. Yeah. But the rent thing, I don't think is a criteria that I think.
That's a really good point. But I do question the trajectory of that relationship if it starts off on that stance. Like, you know, some guys will actually do that. They may be not forced to do that, but they may feel like they're, you know, pressure that they need to do that. And that could cause a strain in the relationship.
Yeah.
Because some guys, obviously, they want to impress the girl, so they could be running debt, try to like...
And that's the problem. I don't want you getting in debt before we get married, and then I realize that all the rent that you've been paying, we've got to pay it back as a couple. Because
and some guys would do that, they'll be like, I'm marrying her. We go pay this debt together.
Oh, no, I don't... Yeah, I mean, I think... So that's one thing, for example, that I would say as a woman, I don't necessarily expect from a man. And I think I'm talking as an average, you know, working. Yeah. We earn a decent amount, but that's not something that I think is necessary. If you are living with the girl, or if you're frequently there to the point where you're practically living there, then you probably should. Because at this point, what are you really trying to say? But I don't even know if you should be paying her rent. I think you should be contributing, and maybe that's by buying food. Maybe that's like contributing towards the rent.
I mean, we've spoken about this before on previous episodes, but I really think if it's a serious relationship, because this is where it comes down to different levels of where the relationship is at.
Yeah.
If it's a serious relationship, right, and you both are, you know, talking about marriage, potential marriage in the future, I really think there's nothing wrong with living together and him paying the rent. See if he can, you know, like, because especially, like I said in our last podcast, a lot of men want that traditional position.
Yeah.
They want that. They feel like that's what men should be doing. So they may feel like, because we're both living together and we're paying one rent, I'll take care of the rent.
Yeah.
It might be a way to practice doing that, because in marriage, you're going to have to negotiate quite a lot.
Yeah, but that's very much living together.
Exactly. So I think, depending on where the relationship, but if it's just someone you've met and you've got your own place, she's got her own place, and you guys have got separate bills, you're still getting to know each other, then the answer is like, no.
What if they're not getting to know each other? What if it's like year 3?
Year 3, and they're living separately.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like how you said again, if he can, by all means, go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
but he should not have to struggle.
To
do that. To do so. So for me, if he's got money, if he's got a good paying job, and he feels like, I can take care of my woman, I can cover her rent.
I'm sorry, but for me, because I'm gonna raise a son as well. I feel like for me, you don't pay no girl's rent.
Yeah,
to.
I mean, if we put our son in that position, and he's of that age and he's paying some girl's rent that
he's dating, and he's been dating for a year, but he's got his own rent to pay. No, I wouldn't encourage that.
Yeah. I would rather tell him, live together.
Yeah.
If you really care about her, live together
and see where this relationship goes. I don't think, because he might date her for 2-3 years and then they split up. Yeah. And then what happens to all that rent money? No, I'm joking. I don't know. Maybe the people are not going to like me for these opinions, but
it's the truth.
I feel like most of the time,
it's the truth.
We've got our own money.
No, but
once we get married, then they don't expect.
But the thing is, everyone says no, but you know, he should be paying it. But if they've got kids and they put their kids in that position, they will have a different perspective. I'm telling you, they'll have a different perspective.
About girls. Yeah. I think about our daughter. I think about Ellie hearing this, and I'm like, I want her to hear what I truly believe should apply to her, as well as all the women that might listen to this. And so I feel the same way with Guav. I feel like if I'm saying this, I want my son to hear this and know that this is where I stand for all men, not just, it'll be great to have men that can like pay for things, but then I wouldn't want my son to do that. And not because I want my son to be tight on money, but because I want him to be careful too. I still feel like
I agree with that.
I don't want a woman to take advantage of him because maybe she wants to break up with him now. it's been like a year and a half, and she
doesn't.
But she doesn't break up with him because he pays her rent.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds
That's a risk. No.
far-fetched, but
That's. I'm sure there are people right now in that position, still getting their rent paid. Yeah, let's not sugarcoat it. Yeah,
I don't, you know, as my daughter, I expect her to be able to take care of herself until she's in a position where, you know, they're married, and that in that case, all bets are off.
Yeah, but in saying that, there's, for me, like, something just came to me, and there's a risk as well there, because, you know, there are some controlling men out there. So when they start paying your rent, they start paying everything.
Yeah,
they feel like they own you. They feel like they can kind of tell you what to do, how to do things.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they insert themselves into that traditional position by force.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, yeah. And in a way, it's that same situation. It's like he's going to be doing things like your husband. So now he's expecting husband-like treatment.
That's what I'm saying.
And then
why are you not cooking?
Why are you not cooking? Why, you know, maybe you don't want to be intimate until marriage. But now he pays for stuff and he's like, well, I want intimacy. So it's true that could also backfire in the sense that it's harder for you.
It could.
But I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. I do want women to be able to look for men that can provide for them. You would want a man that can pay for where you live, because if you get married, you want him to be able to take care of you. So I'm not saying date any old guy with any old money because you should be able to pay your own rent. That's not really what I'm saying. I just want to make that clear. I do want girls to be able to say, right, well, I want a man who's like capable.
Can look after him.
Look after himself.
I definitely agree with that. I think
let people pay one rent in this world. Yeah,
I agree. That's why in our previous podcast, I've often said that, look, if you want to check if the relationship is going to work, live together. You save money on rent and food and whatnot, because, you know, on travels, because you're living together, that you will still find out if that person can look after you, or if that woman can.
My stance on that still stands. Please make sure you're engaged before you live with them, because then you might end up in a why buy the cow situation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that's me as a woman.
That's true.
So let's just break it down, because I think people would be listening to this and be like, okay, but what are you really talking about, Nuriel? What are you really talking about, Frank? We've spoken about rent, you know, but me as a woman, what would I say is doing too much? What would I say is going too far as a girlfriend, and you're kind of sneaking into the wife territory without realizing it? And then you can do the same. And I think we've kind of established that with men, there's not as much.
No.
Because obviously if you're pursuing, then you want to show, but at the same time, you know. So I think for me, and I haven't prepped this part, so there might be some editing. But I think for me, there's probably about 3 to 5 things that I think is doing too much. Or maybe it's only 3 things, really.
What are they? Cooking?
No. Are you sure? Listen.
Okay, go on.
I'm going to break it down, because I don't actually think that there's any of these things that I'm going to say. I don't think you should never do them.
Okay.
I think it's more about how often you do them and the expectation that you will do them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So the first thing for me, right?
Come on, just get to it.
Sips tea. The first thing for me is going to your boyfriend's house on a regular basis to cook for him, and him only eating your food, essentially.
Okay.
Right? So I've got a girlfriend now, and she cooks for me.
Yeah.
That mindset. Not like, oh, my girlfriend's coming round this month and she's cooking for me. That's different.
Yeah, okay.
That's different.
That he becomes reliant on you to be cooking.
Yeah.
And then you're cooking more often than.
Yeah. I got to go cook for my man. I got to go cook for my man. Like, consistently.
Does that ever happen now?
I don't know. I don't know. And I don't even.
I mean, the girls out there are looking like they're not ready to cook. The way they're dressed.
Leave the girls' nails out of this, Frank.
I'm just saying for what I've seen, but yeah.
And now you're going to get in trouble.
I don't mind. Yeah, go on.
No, I feel like,
So the cooking thing.
the regimented cooking as if his eating is your responsibility. That is the part that I'm like, no, you're doing too much. You're his girlfriend, you're not his wife.
Yeah.
You can cook for him if you're around. If you're staying over, you're cooking for him. If he comes over, you cook for him. If it's a date night, you cook for him. But he can't be here like, what am I going to eat? Because the stew you made last week is finished.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
That's doing too much.
Fair enough.
So that's one. I think another thing that I think is doing too much is, I hate to go there, but intimacy.
Okay.
I don't think...
Expand on that.
I know, and this is the part where it's going to be tricky, because you know how much I like to keep things PG, because I'm very, very shy about intimacy. But the way I see it, you're grown. We're all grown. We're all adults. You can choose when you want to be intimate with someone. You can choose how quickly and stuff like that. And I don't actually think that it makes that much of a difference, because I think it depends on the kind of relationship you're having and the respect level that you know he has for you. So I'm not one of those people that says, wait until you get married or wait 3 months, or, I think each person has to choose depending on the relationship that they're having and the kind of relationship. But I do think you have to make sure when it comes to intimacy in a relationship and you're not married to the guy, that is not all that your relationship is based on. Right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
It cannot be a thing where it's all about seeing each other to be intimate.
Yeah. Every time you see each other, do the thing. Do the thing.
No.
Do the thing. Okay.
I'm not saying withhold anything, but I'm saying look at the
withhold stuff.
Yeah, you should. Maybe you should, right? Maybe I'm just trying to be a bit. Trying to be a bit.
Tell me how it is.
I'm trying to be a bit lenient.
Don't give too much.
Don't give too much. Don't give too much of yourself, your body, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be clouded about what this relationship really is. You don't want to be at a point where you're like, is he with me because this is regular, consistent intimacy?
Yeah.
Or is he actually with me because he likes me, he gets to know me, he understands me? I bring out the best in him.
Yeah.
We share the same interests. We have the same values. We're heading towards marriage. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like I'm not telling anybody be celibate. What I'm saying is sometimes intimacy can cloud, and I'm talking from a woman's perspective. Mm-hmm. Sometimes intimacy can cloud your judgment about that relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a very important part of a relationship, but I think it can cloud it. For example, it's like, the way I would liken it is like, imagine if you have like a really nice house and you've got, your house is always full of food. You have a beautiful house, it's always full of food, and people are always coming round to see you in your house full of food. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you took away the food.
Yeah, when no one comes.
Who would still be coming to see you? Do you know what I mean? How will you know if your house is always full of food and people are always coming over? How would you know the people that actually come to see you, which I'm sure there are people that come to see you because they love you and they love your company, versus the people that come to see you because they just want to eat. They just like, this is free food, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So sometimes put the food away in your house. Like, the house doesn't always have to be full of food for people to come and be like, okay, let me get some free food. Sometimes the cloudiness of what intimacy brings comes from your house always being full of food.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you need to see who would still be coming if there was no food in your house. And that's the analogy that I can give on that. But that's why intimacy for me as a woman is one that you have to tread carefully on. And if you can wait until marriage, I think that's the best way. I really think that's the safest way for a woman. You know, it prevents pregnancy. It prevents, the person maybe not being very serious about you or being, mistreated or misused. Yeah. So I think that's the best way, but it's not realistic for everybody. And I think I appreciate that. So I think, think about how you're moving in terms of intimacy. And that's a long way to say intimacy, but I had to explain it. And then I'll probably just stick with 3 because I want to hear your point.
If I have any.
Oh my God. Another thing that I think women need to be careful on, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash because guys these days think, they want to be spoiled. They're the prize. But I feel like women need to be careful on gifting, overly gifting a man.
Is there such thing as overly gifting?
Overly gift? I think you need to be careful. Really? I think you need to be careful because as a wife, I feel like if I want to buy something for my husband, this man is committed to me. He stood in front of his family and friends and chosen me, and we're building a life. Like, I could buy you a Lamborghini if I have the money for it. I can buy you whatever, because I know that the commitment is there. But as your girlfriend, it's kind of like what we're saying about the rent. I don't want it to become a thing where my lavishly gifting makes me like someone you want to keep around.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I feel like that's something that you have to tread carefully on. You know, special occasions, give them something nice. I think go out of your way, do something nice, but just be careful about the frequency. Be careful about the size of what you're buying, like how much you're putting into it. I mean, let it grow over time as well, because I think what could happen there is that you can be in a situation where it starts to feel like you're trying to buy his love. And especially if a man feels like he's not ready yet for commitment, and he knows that he's the one that has to kind of move the relation to the next level, it could seem like you're just trying to you're doing too much.
You're trying too hard. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's it for me. I think I'll stop at 3 because there's other things that I think, you know, as women, and maybe as it comes to me, I'll bring it up. But I definitely think cooking, intimacy, and gifting. I think those are the 3 big things where I think that as a girlfriend, you probably should, you know, cool off on that aspect of things, like hold back a little bit.
Back a little. Okay, I get that. From a marriage perspective, I think because obviously we're the chasers.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's only so much we can hold back on. Yeah, because we have to. She's the prize. Yeah. Don't get that twisted. It's not us. They're the prize. Yeah. So from my perspective, we have to put our chips on the table and just say, "This is what I can offer you."
Yeah.
Right. Without going too far with it. So things like we spoke about the rent bit when I said, you know, unless you're living together, I don't feel like you necessarily have to pay her rent, but you can show her that. I mean, it could just be discussions that you guys have. Like when we live together, you know, I'm going to be taking care of it. Reassure her that you can actually look after her. She'll be all right.
Sometimes you can dash her a little
money. She pays her rent, but if you every now and then paid for her hair, like her doing her hair, pay for her to go to spas and whatnot, get her nails done, whatever, like those kind of things. I mean, I'm sure as a woman, you know if a guy appreciates you.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do everything for you to show you that he appreciates you.
Yeah.
So I do feel like even though as a man, we have to be very forward. Yeah. In terms of, you know, what we like, say what we mean.
Yeah.
But there are still things that we should hold back on. Like you mentioned the spending, like the, you know, gifts and stuff.
Yeah, that applies for men.
Yeah, applies for men. Don't become that guy that, she gets a gift from you, or she keeps you around when things are not going well. You're the one that you're always giving her gifts and stuff. You know.
And I think that's a lot to do with like check the reciprocation level, check the appreciation level. You know, how much does it seem to mean to her? How excited is she when you do stuff like that?
It's just about gift. Yeah, because it could be a case of like she's always wanting things. Yeah.
And I think I kind of agree with you. I think when it comes to men, the giving too much is hard for them because I feel like they have to show that they're able to be a husband. Yeah. But I think a lot of the things that they should be giving on as well is emotional. I think you should be able to like be emotionally available.
But what if her love language is not?
It's gift.
It's gift.
But a gift doesn't have to be lavish. Someone whose love language is gift appreciates gifts in all levels. And like I said, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. There's nothing wrong with lavish gifts. Yeah. If you're with someone who's about that life, if you're with someone who lives that kind of life for themselves, why would you not make sure that your girlfriend is living the same caliber of life, right? Maybe not the same level of life as your wife, but a similar caliber. You want her to like feel the fact that, you know, with someone who's got money. But I think...
But from a guy's perspective, like, look, let's just cut to the chase. You know, if you love a girl and you've been with her a reasonable amount of time, this whole, like, should I be paying her rent? It's just better to just make that relationship like a certainty.
Yeah.
So like living together is something that you can...
You're very much advocating for living together.
No. I've always been advocating for living together because I think it's crucial. I know you don't agree. Like,
Are you proposing?
Propose, but this is what I'm saying though. The ball is literally in our court. Like propose, like show her, that you're willing to commit to her. Because for you to start paying the rent, if you feel that strongly that I want to look after this girl, I want to like take care of everything.
Yeah.
Then you're ready to take that next step.
Yeah. I agree.
You're ready to take that next step. So
I agree.
If you want to save money, you can save a lot more money. As a guy, just propose, and if you love her, propose, and so you guys can live together, and start building things together much earlier.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the whole why buy the cow when you can have the milk and whatnot. Yeah, fair enough.
When you can get the milk for free.
When you get the milk for free, but if you're not getting the milk properly, it's gonna be sour milk. It's not gonna be a good one.
What do you mean?
You can still no. I'm being real. Like some guys, they don't want to buy the cow. They want to just keep getting the milk. And sometimes when you're doing those kind of things, you are literally chopping away at your blessings. Like
you're not just talking about intimacy here, are you? You're just talking about a relationship.
I'm talking about a relationship where you just wear the person down. You're just using them and what.
Yeah, you're just all their emotional investment, all of their financial investment in this relationship, and you're just like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Yeah. Okay. So, what are the potential challenges of acting like you're married before marriage? I think some of the key challenges are you want a relationship that can grow organically.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenge for both men and women. You want a relationship that can grow. And you want to show that you're committed to the growth of a relationship before you even get to marriage level. So I understand that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge because you don't want to do too much, but you don't want to do too little.
Yeah. And it's hard to know how much to give.
Yeah.
It is hard to know. It is hard to gauge it.
Yeah.
But I do say, as we said before, try not to hold back too much.
Yeah.
And be yourself. But I always think that there will be red flags if you're being used.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you have to be in tune to those red flags. That's the thing.
Yeah. We do tend to ignore the truth.
God. Yeah.
We can often see the truth. Human beings they're so intelligent. We have intuition, gut instincts. We have vibes. Like things just not feeling right.
We just ignore them.
Yeah. And I think if you let a relationship grow organically, and I think season 1 we spoke about vulnerability. You're open, you're honest, you're real. Because we're not talking about holding back on your feelings or, holding back emotion or effort into actually getting to know each other and being in a relationship. We're not saying hold back on that.
Yeah.
But we are saying recognize your position in that person's life. And if you are their girlfriend, you are their girlfriend. You are not their wife.
Yeah.
And you have to have a distinction between what you will be like with them as a wife versus what you'll be like as a girlfriend. And I'm not necessarily saying there should be a distinct difference, but I'm saying the commitment level should mean that those things are different when you're their wife.
There should be a distinct difference.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
There should be.
Am I trying to be sweet?
No. But I get the point.
Because I'm not saying be a different personality.
No.
Sometimes men say, "Oh, she was so lovely, and then I married her, and then she became a witch." So I'm not saying. What I'm trying to say is you shouldn't be a different person. Well, let's talk about us. What was I like before we got married? I mean, this is probably the easiest way for us to kind of get to the bottom of it.
What do you like?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you've changed that much. You do a lot more because once that commitment was there, once you realized that, yes, I'm committed to you, I think you did a lot more because the cooking and, all the things you've listed, they were in moderation. They were not like over the top kind of thing.
Yeah. So you don't think I was cooking for you as a girlfriend?
No. Like cooking a lot. Like it would be when I every now and then kind of thing. So I wasn't relying on your cooking like that, or you were not expected to cook all the time. So when you cooked, it was kind of like a surprise to me, like something that I appreciated and whatnot. But it wasn't overly done.
What about the gift giving?
The gift giving. I think you clocked onto my love language much earlier. So I think
his love language is gift. That's one of his love languages.
Seriously trouble. It's not that bad though.
No, you're not bad, but you like gifts. You like someone to go out their way to buy something for you. It means a lot to you. Like,
it doesn't matter how small.
No, it doesn't matter how small. You really do. I can see it in your eyes that you feel really treasured.
Yeah.
Valued.
Like a little baby.
Nothing too expensive necessarily.
But I don't think you went over the top on that. There was a transition though. Yeah, I think when I proposed, right? As soon as I proposed, the cooking intensified. This goes back to what I'm saying about guys, get the full cow. Like,
come on,
don't just get it. Just get it.
Didn't buy the cow.
Just buy it. Like, don't even go through the right channel, go through the front door, not the back window. I'm telling you, because I experienced that as soon as I proposed to you.
That's when I kind of learned the Nigerian dishes.
The Nigerian dishes, yes. That gave you certainty.
Yeah.
That told you that, look, forget everyone else, that you are the one.
Yeah.
So,
and I chilled a lot more in terms of...
That's what I'm saying.
Emotionally as well. Exactly. I was a lot more relaxed. Because I was like, okay, all right.
Exactly. So there is a transition there.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's transition. But if you were doing a lot at the beginning, some people would just relax.
What about you? Would you have relaxed?
I wouldn't have relaxed.
So you were saying I could have acted like a wife and you still would have married me, fair?
Babe, I was ready to marry you, like from jump. It took us a while before we got married, but I was certain about you already. Like, aww. I'm not trying to be sweet. No. I'm just being real. Like, there are a lot of guys out there that will say exactly the same thing or feel exactly the same way. They'll be like, no,
I knew.
But because of where they are, they may be studying, they may be going through, life or whatever. They may not be in the position to actually propose at that time. But if they could, they would do. But there are some other guys that it's just like, because they're already getting the full works, they feel like, why commit? Why not just keep?
I disagree with you. The Frank I knew and the Frank I know today, and what I know about you, Frank, I do not think that if you met me and I was the kind of girl that would do the most and just kind of act like a wife, your cooking sorted, gifts, this and that, I don't think we would have gotten as far in our relationship. Because I feel like the way I know you to be, you are someone that doesn't like over-savvy people. You don't like girls that seem too eager. Because you've had girls interested in you in the past.
Yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with them. But it's almost like because you felt like they were more interested in you than you were in them, it's like it put you off.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would have been put off by me.
No, but the difference is I love you.
Yeah, but
I didn't love these girls. Nah. But I knew some of these girls that were interested in me. I knew them for a period of time, but the feeling was not the same. So that's the difference.
It wasn't love at first sight.
It wasn't love at first sight. It was love after a couple of weeks or
No, it wasn't after a couple of weeks. We already established it was before you.
I would love this girl at first sight. Yeah, I'm telling you that it was one of the. I know what you're saying. If you were like, but there's got to be a level to it. Like when you mentioned the wasabi, like if it's like there's some people that just do the most, like. And doing the most can be good if it's done properly, but there's that part that can become annoying that, she's in your face too much, doesn't give you that much space. This is why when we met and we were both at uni, it allowed us to have our own space.
At different
unis, yeah. It allows us to have our own space, still regulate our own environment and see each other whenever we wanted to see each other. So I think for me, there was never going to be any of us sabi there. Even if you did, do things a bit more for me. Like, there will be times where you've done a lot more for me. But I just took it as the way you felt about me. I didn't see it as a wasabi.
Yeah. That's why a lot of the early years of our relationship, like we always say, I think we spent like 3 years at least, where we were in 2 separate parts of the country.
Yeah.
Going to different universities. We didn't see each other that much. No. And I think that did make it a bit different for us in the sense that we couldn't do the most in each other's environment. But then again, I say that to say I could have been, if I was like that, I could have been always at your uni. I could have been always in Oxford, fam.
Yeah.
I could have been there all the time.
I know. So
keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
But I felt like there's no need to do that. Like, you're at uni doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if I need to, we'll see each other, we'll see each other.
In doing that, like in giving me that space, that told me that you trusted me.
Yeah.
You know, so play that well. Like, yeah. But I do get what you're saying. I still stand by what I said in terms of like.
I won't reject it if that's how you truly feel.
Yeah,
that's really lovely to hear. We kind of also wanted to touch on cultural and religious beliefs and how they can influence premarital behaviors. I wanted to touch on this because I felt like I think we're losing a lot of our cultural and religious. If you're religious, you know, then religious. If you're not, even just cultural.
Yeah.
I think we're forgetting sometimes that a lot of those things are literally there to protect us. It reminds me of that part in Black Panther where okay, I'm going to be geeky on the part in Black Panther where M'Baku says to Suri, like, oh, a child who scoffs at tradition and stuff. It makes me think about that because it's like sometimes we misunderstand tradition and we scoff at it, or we want to just cast it aside. And we forget that a lot of the times, those things are there to protect us. They're there to make sure that when you actually do get into a serious relationship or someone is kind of making their way to the point where they can be your husband, this is like their test. And it makes me think of Black Panther and the tests that you have to go through and stuff like that. It's like tradition gives us that.
It does.
You know what I mean? That stuff is important because the reason why they say he has to come before your father and your uncles, and it's because a man cannot pull the wool over another man's eyes, not the way he can with women.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with women and other women. If you're serious about me and you come before my dad and you come before my uncles and you pass the test where they're like, yeah, this guy's serious, I know we're good. Even just being willing to do that, even just being willing to do that shows your level of commitment. So when we think about acting like a husband or wife before marriage, traditions, and obviously we're Africans, you're Nigerian, I'm Congolese, so we have similar traditions, but they're slightly different. Our African tradition and our African culture puts things in place to make sure that you're literally doing things to pass a certain test to show that you're about that life, that you're serious about this woman and that you can actually look after her. And I think our cultures do not encourage doing certain things before your marriage. It doesn't encourage being a certain way with a man before your marriage.
It doesn't encourage living together.
No.
It doesn't encourage the woman cooking for the man.
It wouldn't encourage all that. It doesn't encourage all that. And that's why I said, for me, I stand firm on, if we are not engaged, I'll have no business living with you. You can come to the house, we can chill, you can stay, I can go to your house, I can stay, but living together, I don't think that that's going to uphold my dignity. And that's because I am, like I say, sometimes I am quite traditional minded, but that's because I understand the aspects of our culture and I respect it. I wouldn't say I totally respect it all the way, all the time. There's things that I think need to move with modernity. But a lot of our culture is there, and religion puts things in place.
I agree with that.
What do you think about, the impact culture can have on expectations?
But the thing is, I agree with that, but our tradition really puts pressure on men. There's an expectation on men that, what are you doing? If the woman was so just to cook for you for a little bit, they were like, why are you not marrying her? Do you understand? It's like, what are you doing? What are you playing at? She's a potential wife. She looks like a good wife. She behaves like a good wife. Why are you not marrying her?
I know.
Yeah. So the pressure is, I wouldn't even call it pressure, but the expectation is there. That's why some men they move away from tradition. They want a traditional relationship, but they don't want to follow that traditional step, because if they have to follow that traditional step,
there'll be a lot of
expectation on them.
100%. That is so true. And I think that we're losing some good stuff from that.
Yeah, we are.
I think we're scoffing at it because it seems outdated, but I think that's why we're in some of these situations that we're in now with these gender wars.
Yeah.
And I don't think it even just applies to Africans. Because if you really think of Western tradition going back in time, what did the man have to do before he proposes to the woman? Before he even proposes to the woman, before she even knows that she's going to get proposed to, he would have to go to the father and say, I'm going to ask Julie to marry me. I want your blessing.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Yeah, it is similar.
So in time that has changed it, there is still something there to kind of shelter the woman in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that sounds old-fashioned, it sounds outdated. Maybe she doesn't need sheltering. Maybe she's independent. She's about that life. Yeah.
Even so, there's those kind of things are in place to protect every woman, even if you are an independent woman.
Yeah, even if you can take care of yourself. Yeah.
Even if you can. It's not just for you, it's for your family as well.
Yeah.
Because if the man scoffs at tradition and does not respect your family, then you have an issue in that relationship already.
Well, some people feel like it's just me and you. It's about me and you. This relationship is me and you, and how
it's not healthy if it's just me and you. It is not a healthy relationship. We have family. Our family is involved in our lives, one way or another.
Yeah.
It can't be if we just got married and just ran off somewhere, we could have had a very, very different relationship. You need your family. Like that's real. Like you need your family.
And you
so that whole just me and my girlfriend, or just me and my woman.
Why are you thinking me and my girlfriend? Yeah.
No. You need your family too, mate. Yeah, you actually do, for the support.
Yeah.
So it's not just about that. So there's something around why tradition is important, because you need to follow the process. I mentioned earlier on, come through the door, don't go through the window.
Yeah.
Show the family.
Go through the back. The window just sounds so savage. Like, don't go through the back door. I can understand, but don't go through the window.
Some guys want to go through the window. They don't want to go through the back door, because the back door is a door that you still need to try to knock, and they want to just jump through the window like a thief. You don't need that.
I can't. Please don't make me long.
Yeah. So
jump through the window like a thief.
So in answer to the question, how do cultural and religious belief influence? They have a lot of influence in the process. And like you said, they are there for a reason.
Yeah.
They've been put in place.
They can make people think twice about certain actions.
They can.
But I think in today's day and age, not so much.
Not so much, but which is a shame. And I think more men would actually follow the respectful process if tradition was in place.
Yeah.
Because the expectation will be on them. In tradition does not look at the woman. It looks at the man until they're married.
Yeah.
Then the eyes shift to the woman.
Yeah. Especially African cultures, what are you doing to keep that man happy? No, but I know.
Yeah.
And I was just saying Western cultures, but it's the same thing in Asian culture. So this is not just we're talking as Africans, but Asians, they all have the same thing. Even the Hispanic countries and things like that. I don't want to start naming all the countries, but there are elements of this throughout history in all of these different countries and traditions. Yeah. But also another thing, just to touch on religion as well. One of my closest friends is Muslim. What is in place in Islam is also, and I don't know too much about it, but I do know that there is actually a very similar process to what we do as Africans, where you're not supposed to be for example, when you're dating, you're not supposed to be alone together. Without a chaperone, without someone. And how long can you really do that for?
Yeah.
Before you actually want to propose and get serious. Yeah. So that really does protect women in the sense that if they're not serious about you, they're not going to keep seeing you with a chaperone. Yeah. And also that you have to actually go to, I think it's one of the elder men in order to get the process going.
That's why that's in place. Yeah.
That was a whole bunch of nonsense. My friend is not going to be impressed with me. She'd be like, girl, I told you everything and you still got it wrong. But I didn't get it wrong, but I can't explain it in depth. But the point is there are processes in place. Yeah. You're not allowed to be alone with a man and all of that. And I think in fundamental Christianity, it's the same thing as well. I don't think you're supposed to actually be alone with a man in Christianity.
You're not supposed to live together. You're not supposed to
not just live together, but even when you're getting to know each other, you're supposed to date with elders involved and stuff like that. Yeah. We're talking Christianity quite traditionally, fundamental Christianity. But we kind of digress. We digress. Religious beliefs and cultural traditions and things, half of the stuff that we're saying, is doing too much, or you're acting too much like a wife. If you were actually being very religious, you probably would bypass all of that.
Yeah, true.
You would bypass a lot of that, and you would probably, it kind of encourages people to get married quicker.
Yeah.
Now, that's not always a good thing, because sometimes you have young people getting married just because they they really, really like each other as opposed to being in love. But it's not bad.
Yeah, that can push people to quicken the process.
Yeah.
When they're not ready.
Yeah.
That's another risk.
That's another one. Yeah. Do you think acting like a wife or husband before marriage strengthens or weakens a relationship?
For me, it depends. It depends, really.
Yeah.
I think you've got to give something. As a man, you've got to be able to demonstrate that you're going to be a good father, you're going to be a husband. Because if you don't show any signs of it, then she's going to start having doubts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could just be anything. It could just be something as small as just having constant conversations about it. Like, when we get married, I'm going to
so promises. No, I don't like
those promises. But you'll still be doing you will protect her while you're together. So you probably protect her.
That's not even right. You're such a man that those things are just like baselines for you. You're like, you'll protect her, you will provide for her, you'll be there emotionally. But that's not necessarily what these girls are getting these days. If I'm listening to my fellow women and younger girls, like my younger cousins and stuff like that, they're not seeing this readily available in everyday boys and men nowadays. And we talk a lot about gender wars, and part of it is that gender war energy of like, well, why should I do anything for her if she's not my wife? I reserve that kind of thing for my wife. And then she's like, well, I'm not gonna, why should I do it? So both don't want to give, and there's this kind of tug of war going on.
Yeah.
So but those things are not coming as standard.
No, but isn't that, I think social media has caused that though. I think it has a lot of, if you look at shows like the Blue Therapy, I feel like those type of shows create a divide.
And it's an entertaining show. Don't get me twisted. We don't, no shade to the show because we've watched it.
Yeah, we have.
We have enjoyed watching it because it's not real. It's entertainment.
Yeah, but
I think that's the problem.
Entertainment, I don't know because it stays with people. It stays with people. Like it sticks, especially with young people. Like it's engraved in their head. So because you mentioned the gender wars, that just adds fuel to
the fire.
So I don't like that
because sometimes it's like the worst of both sexes coming together.
It's like
but then again, also, if the environment right now is very toxic like that, then that show is trying to show both sides in a way. Because if you are in a relationship right now in 2023 and you're kind of in your 20s and you're young, and you're experiencing those things in your relationship, it's in isolation. It's just in your relationship. Putting it in the show,
but
if this is really what's going on, allows people to be able to talk.
I get that, but look at the last season, right? The show did not solve anything. If my recollection was like there were specific issues that were outlined in the show. Okay, it was scripted, but nothing got solved. They did not show you how they got from this to this to a better place. It was just like it didn't work out. Just toxicity is like, it was just so toxic.
And I think maybe it is about taking the next step from the show.
Show what's currently happening, like show the negative side of it, but then give them the resolution. Show that, look, from this you can transition to this by doing this, by trying this.
Yeah.
So I just felt like, no, that did not help at all.
So you feel like those depictions?
No, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I mentioned social media, right? Because I think it's warped a lot of people's thinking. There's a lot of positive things out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing this. I mean, we chose to kind of do this podcast because there's not enough representation of people like Frank and I, married. We've been married for 10 years. Mm-hmm. We've been together for like 19 years.
Yeah, we've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, the jacket.
But we've been together 19 years. So we've gone through a lot of some of those things that they're going through now.
Yeah.
And we just don't want younger people in relationships now, or even people our age going through this, because this stuff is across the board. Married people, going through these same things. We don't want them to feel like they're going through it in isolation and just to have no solutions. We want to try and bring solutions and advise people. So I guess in this topic about why buy the cow if you get the milk for free? How much should you be acting like a husband? How much should you be acting like a wife? I think what we're trying to say is women need to be a bit more cautious, because they are going to be the one, and they still are, even though we're not as traditional, they're still going to be the ones waiting for that commitment. And there are some girls today who'll be like, I'm not waiting for no man for a commitment, I'm doing my thing. But then, okay, that's fine, but do you plan to have kids down the line? Because kids are better off with two parents. So what are you doing there? There's a lot of single mothers, and that's not to say that you can't do well as a single mother, but that shouldn't be the ideal situation. That shouldn't be what you're aiming for.
That should not be the standard.
That shouldn't be the standard. You should want to give your kids two stable parents. So if you do want to have kids, if you do want to have a partner who you're married to, or you're in a seriously committed relationship to raise those kids, then you want to be in a position where you're looking for a guy who's ready for commitment. And in that case, it doesn't really matter how independent you are. You're going to have to make sure that you carry yourself in certain ways in relationships. I'm not talking about respectability politics, because every woman deserves respect no matter how she carries herself. I just want to put that out there. But you do want to move a certain way to attract the kind of man that you want.
I agree with that.
You need to move a certain way to attract the kind of man that you want for what you want. And so that's what we're speaking to.
And guys, be open.
You and be open.
Be open.
You summarize everything with
be open. Communicate more. Communicate more. And if you get that feeling that this is the right woman for you, commit. Don't be afraid to commit. Don't be afraid.
Who said don't be afraid?
It's not that scary. Listen to me. I'm telling you, it's not that. No, but it's not that scary though. People are afraid to commit. It's not that scary. If you know when you've met the right person, you know that. So don't be afraid to commit. Just by committing yourself, that clears a lot. That clears a lot.
That's true. So I guess our tips are, what would we say are our tips to avoid the pitfalls of acting like a wife or husband before marriage?
Well, just be yourself. Don't try to be something else.
Don't try to
impress. Be yourself, and then you have to allow that other person to accept you for who you are. Don't, if you're not someone that likes to splurge a lot. Don't do it to impress the other person. Be yourself. That's my number one tip. What about you?
Act in a way that aligns with your comfort levels. Act in a way that aligns with, like you're saying, be yourself, but also make sure that you're comfortable in the person you're presenting yourself to be, because if you are trying to commit or looking to go into a committed relationship, you are going to have to keep that up. So there's be yourself, but at the same time, make sure that you're comfortable in the way you're being in that relationship, and not even just in that relationship, how you're being, but also the kind of relationship that's developing. Be alert to that, and make sure that as the relationship is going on, you're kind of starting to think about the dynamics that are in play and the things that are in play. I always say to my girlfriends when we talk about these kind of things in relationship, that I think women need to realize as well that they're setting precedents in their relationship with certain things. So how you deal with a certain issue, or how much you allow something to slide when you're dating while you're kind of waiting for that commitment or looking for that commitment, shouldn't change from how you would expect, what you would expect from that partner when you are married. So you have to be careful about what you allow, because you want to get married, or you want this relationship to progress. You want to be show how chilled you are. You have to be careful how much you're allowing, because you're setting the precedent. And we spoke about this on cheating and stuff. If you're gonna take someone back consistently for cheating on you, chances are you're gonna end up in a situation where they think cheating on you is okay. So if you're trying to get to marriage and you're allowing certain things like infidelity because you think, when we're married, it'll be different. No, it's not going to be different. It'll get worse. You're setting the precedent.
So which leads to the second one about setting expectations and boundaries. They've got to be clear.
And we talk about this all the time. Make sure that your vision.
So set out how you need to. How did I say that again? set out, start as you mean to go, start as you mean to go, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and never drop your expectations. I know I say that all the time.
Drop your standards.
Never drop your standards, never drop your standards.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's our like tips. You know, be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, check your comfort levels and your values. Make sure you're not being disrespected or, you know, I like to say, make sure you're not cheating yourself out. Yeah. But at the same time, make sure that you're, you know, what's the saying? At the same time, make sure that you're not setting precedents that you don't want to carry into a marriage.
Yes.
But on the technical things, rent, I don't think men need to pay your rent. I think they can help you. They can,
and if they can afford to pay it, they
want to, then fine.
Yeah, but just know who that man is.
Yeah.
So because as we said before, the risk with that is that, you know, certain expectation could come with that rent being paid. So just be aware of that.
Yeah. Also, things like holidays and things like that. You know, should they be going halves? Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about certain things like going halves on food. I think a man should pay for food, full stop. I'm not even entertaining.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Dinners and stuff. I think if you're going,
if you go out, I think the man should pay.
Yeah. And I think that's just because I'm quite old fashioned in that way. I think if you were pursuing me, and this is what I'm talking about, be the prize. I mean, I would expect a man to pay for meals. Unless he can't, at which point we probably wouldn't be dating. If you can't pay for any meals, you can't pay for any meal.
What if he wants to split 50-50 with you all the time? Is that a problem? Are you a gold digger? I'm not a gold digger. Gold digger.
No, I'm not a gold digger.
Nah, I'm joking.
But I think women should at least look for a man that can pay for the meal that you guys are having.
Yeah.
And listen.
And if she's a foodie, you be in debt.
And I must say this because I don't want to give people false pretenses or a false picture of us. When we started dating, we were both at uni. Frank didn't pay for every single meal, so I'm not trying to say here like unless he's paid for meal, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Frank didn't pay for every single meal. Sometimes I paid. Yeah. Sometimes he paid, but more often than not, Frank paid. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was because of the age that we were as well. You're both dating, you're both at uni, you're both trying to juggle student loans. Frank didn't have a student loan. He had it like that. He got it. His family had it like that.
We are not rich, we are not rich.
But he didn't have a student loan. But I'm saying you're still trying to juggle your finances. You know, we still, because of our age, I don't think it was a thing. We were both struggling students, broke students, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. We weren't both broke.
I wouldn't go that far.
But we were still young, and it's okay.
We still learn about money.
We still learn about money. Yeah. But you stepped up a lot, and you paid for a lot of things, and you often took me out, especially when I came to Oxford, you paid. So that's not a thing. But I think when we're talking about like grown woman energy, like when you're to a point where you're like, you're dating men who are in their 30s, 31, 32, 33, absolutely. I agree with the thing because they should be able to.
Yeah.
And if I met you at that age, I don't think there would have been any splitting anything 50-50 or sometimes I paid. I don't think, unless you forgot your wallet, which I would trust that you really did forget your wallet. So, but yeah, even
if I forgot my wallet, you pay and I'll put it back into it.
Yeah, so
there's always a way around it.
I think at a certain age, probably like a guy who's like 25 and up,
you can't get away with not covering the
once he's working and stuff. I think
agree with that.
Don't ask for a date if you
I agree with that. You know, the rent is like you don't have to, but like the meals going out and movies and stuff like that.
Holidays. What about holidays? Is that too much?
If you're going to Ibiza, it's all right. If you're going to Cancun, that's a different ballgame, you know what I'm saying? Because some girls will be out here talking about, like, I'm going to fly first class. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with her.
Climb on a bird. A bird will take you first class, yeah? Yeah.
Stop it. Nothing wrong. If you've got it like that, don't expect certain things from a man.
Need to go a show that says, if you've got it like that.
If you've got it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on the kind of guy you're dating. I think expecting that of an average working guy in today's society with the current cost of living crisis.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. But if you're the kind of woman that's like, listen, this is what I want. This is the kind of thing I want.
Unless if you're both going on holiday, both going on holiday, like, it's different. If you're both going on holiday, he can pay for it. But if some of these girls that are like, I'm going on holiday with my friends. It's like, okay.
Why are you doing that to those girls? Why are you making those girls seem like that? Do you even know these girls? Do you even know these girls? We're just taking.
I don't know that, but I can envision some brave hearts saying that, like, no, I want to go to Vegas with my girls. You know, it's gonna be like 4,000, 5,000 pounds. You're like, okay, enjoy your holiday. No,
you like this?
No.
You know, I don't know how I feel about that because at the moment. I don't know, because I understand the whole soft life. I understand that women are worth it. They are worth it.
But they are worth it. But
I think if you're not a wife, and this is what we're talking about.
I can pay for you as my wife to go on holiday with your friends. As a girlfriend, I don't know. No. I'm just being honest.
I can contribute towards
as a girlfriend. Yeah, you contribute. You know, I can say, okay, how much is it?
Give her a little bit.
I'll give her a little bit of this, bill spending money. But yeah. If you just don't do anything, then it's a bit like, okay, do you really care about her? You know, some they'll have issues with that and whatnot. But to pay for everything, I don't know.
And I think I agree with that. I wouldn't want my son pay. I wouldn't want Guav to pay for someone he's dating to go on holiday with her friends. And that's probably because of what we saw and what was being advertised on the latest version of what I think is Blue Therapy. We haven't really watched it, but yeah, I don't think if you're someone's girlfriend, I don't think they need that. I don't think they need to pay for your holidays. I don't think they need to pay for your holidays. I think they should be contributing towards stuff, but they shouldn't necessarily pay for your holiday. Now, if you're married to a rich man, if you're married to somebody who feels that
you're dating.
Oh, sorry. If you're dating. But even then, see, this is why I don't think, even if he's rich, I don't think he should pay for your holiday unless he offers to and wants to. I don't think you should expect him to.
Well, most people will expect it, especially if they know he's got money. They would expect it. They'll be like, well, you've got money. Why can't you just pay for my holiday?
Well, you know, the way I am as a woman, I will expect maybe you to want to pay for my holiday if you were rich, but I would never ask you to. And I would take note of what that means that you don't offer to. I would just be like, okay, right, well,
those are subtle red flags, like that you just need to be.
Maybe he's going to be a bit tight with his money, even when you are his wife.
Yeah, true.
So but I think being like, but why are you not paying for my holidays? Nah, that's not me. And not because I don't need a man to do anything for me, because I think men should do stuff for their girlfriends and their wives, but I feel like you don't know how serious I am just as much as I don't know how serious you are. So there's certain things I think are just reserved to a wife territory. And paying for you to go on holidays with your friends, maybe if it was a birthday present, but just randomly.
That's a good point. Yeah.
No, and I wouldn't, anytime I want to go on holiday, I wouldn't be expecting you to pay. Yeah. So that's just where I stand on that. And call me a pick-me if you will, if you want to. I don't care. That's where I stand on that. I think men have to also, protect themselves because
I
can be taken for a ride.
Yeah, you can be.
Nobody should be taken for a ride.
I agree.
But I'm not saying that if you do pay for your girlfriend to go on holiday that you are automatically being taken for a ride.
Yeah. No, we're not saying that. No,
but the expectation.
Yeah, that's the key thing. The expectation. Let him be the one that offers it.
Yeah,
you could tell if someone is serious about you, someone cares about you. And I'm not saying because if he cannot afford to pay it, certain things, you would know the reason why.
Yeah,
I know why you're with him. You are with him. You know what's going on. So
he could be really rich, but all his money
is tied up.
Like the Tinder swindler. All his money is tied up right now.
It's tied up, but he just needs 2,000 to release the money. It is your 2,000 to release is 20,000. Then he called the police.
Okay. So we got. I think. Was there anything else we think we might want to cover just before we go?
This was an interesting topic.
It is.
It is an interesting topic, but I don't think there isn't a lot to give out there.
Yeah.
It's just, I think the key thing is just be cautious.
Yeah.
Don't
be alert. Red flags.
Yeah, you don't ignore red flags at all, because that is crucial in this, especially when you're dating, especially when you're serious about someone, but you're not sure if they're serious about you.
And that's why I say, hold back a bit on the cooking, the intimacy, the gift giving. As a woman, we love hard oftentimes as women. You know, we fall hard.
Yeah.
And women tend to be very committed to the one person that they're in love with at that time.
I agree.
I think sometimes as well, and I've spoken about this with some of my girlfriends as well, sometimes I think we as women, we literally we get that man and then we just want that man to be everything that we want them to be. It's almost like sometimes you can blind yourself from the reality of who that man really is because you're so focused on the future you're painting with this man without even realizing that he's not the man that you're painting that future with, because he's not going to perform in the way that you are expecting him to perform when you get to that point, if you even get to that point. So I feel like sometimes as women, we can be so like tunnel vision about what we want in a relationship and then give too much in intimacy and all of that.
That's how you guys are. That's how women are designed, though.
Don't go into that.
No, but it's the truth, though. But because if I believe, if women were not designed that way, men will be in trouble. I mean, I think there'll be less people in the world because I'm not being honest.
We'll be in trouble, mate.
I'm telling you,
less people in the world.
Less people in the world because it'll be a big issue. But I think for men, like that woman, don't be afraid to commit. I know I keep saying that, but do not be afraid to commit.
Yeah,
it is not scary. I've done it. I can do it. You can.
No, I can't. Okay. On that note, we're done. Kite. We're finished. I mean, the episode's probably quite long as well, anyway. But yeah, I mean, how do we end it on video? Hello.
How do we end it? Bye. See you next time. What else we to end it?
Do you think we've been ourselves?
We have been. I think it took us a while. We warmed up into it. This is us. This is how we record this.
This is how we are.
This is just our. If there was no cameras, I'm looking at this beautiful lady and I'm talking to her. That's it.
This is how we are when we talk. This is how we talk.
This is how we talk. If you know us, you will know that, this is us.
Yeah, this is us. But okay, so thank you for tuning into ITT Podcast. We should be doing some sort of like goodbye.
Let's do a dance.
No.
First tune in.
You're weird. So yeah, I think
that's it. That's it. What about the dilemma?
Oh my goodness, we have a dilemma. I'm going to quickly read it. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, so we have a dilemma and we're going to quickly answer it as best as we can. Hey guys, I've been a dedicated listener to your podcast since you started, and I must say it has helped me gain invaluable insights into relationships. Today I find myself in a situation that I'm hoping you can shed some light on. My partner and I seem to have the same argument cycle repeatedly. It's not so much what we argue about, it's what happens after the disagreement, and I'm at a loss for how to deal with it. After the disagreement, he will often give me the silent treatment. Oh gosh, Frank knows all about this. This is his domain. We don't live together, but when we stay together, the silence may be for an hour. But when we are apart, the silence can go on for days. Usually, I will break the silence and encourage us to talk, and once we do, everything is fine. But it feels like we're trapped in a never-ending cycle. I love my partner deeply, and I know they feel the same way about me, but this constant stonewalling is causing me to feel frustrated, especially since I have voiced that this is not an effective way to communicate. I've come to the point that when he stonewalls, I just be silent right back. But I hate feeling like I'm hanging, waiting for the relationship to start up again, or like I'm playing a game of who can silence the other one out. It's affecting the harmony in our relationship, and I'm worried about the long-term consequences. Girl. I'm reaching out to you for guidance on how to break this cycle. What should I do when he goes silent? What strategies can we employ to address this more constructively? How can we better understand each other's perspectives and reach resolutions that stick? I'm looking for practical advice that could help me navigate this challenging pattern and build a healthier, more harmonious relationship. Thank you for your time, and I eagerly await your insights. They've put their name, but I'm going to keep the name out of this.
We'll just leave the name out. They know who they are.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so stonewalling, silent treatment.
We've been there.
Go for it, Frank.
Go for
What have you got to say for yourself?
It's terrible. It's terrible.
You don't do this anymore. You don't. Let's just put that out there. Frank does not do this anymore. But this was our dilemma.
Yeah.
This was us, I would say, about at its strongest before we got married.
Yeah.
At its strongest. So probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe even like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It carried on into the marriage a bit.
Yeah, not as bad as it used to be, but it was still there.
It was still there a little bit. Until I would say about a good 6 years ago. I would say that's when it really, really, really stopped.
Yeah.
Maybe even 7.
Yeah.
Because I think it was only about 2 years.
So what's the solution? Let's give them some solution. Yeah. Let's give them some solutions.
Okay. So
what did we do?
First of all, we just want to say we really feel your pain.
Yeah.
Stonewalling, silent treatment is actually a form of emotional or mental abuse.
Yeah. It is. I would say yes, it is.
It's a form of abuse, people. And I think this is what we need to understand, because it doesn't, you probably don't think it's abuse because you're not trying to abuse the other person if you're the person doing it, or because you understand that this person is not someone that deals very well with conflict. But with me and Frank, I got to the point where I was so fed up of it because it was happening before we got married. It kind of eased off, and then it kicked in a bit when we got married, after we were married and had kids, because the stress of kids, that's when it came back. And I sat down one day and I looked up like silent treatment and stuff like that and stonewalling. And when I realized that it's actually abuse, I brought that to you and I sent him articles.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with you about it. We discussed it.
After reading the article, I understood what it actually is, and the impact it does have on people, not just on women, but like just on people that's on the other end of it. And that for me was so a lot of alarm bells in my head. Because it's like you're punishing the other person by withdrawing from them. And a relationship is all about that togetherness. It's all about that like affection and all of that. And so when you withdraw from them for such a long time, and we're not talking about half an hour, I think is fine. You might need to go your separate ways, give each other space. But for days,
hours, and saying, do you remember like we used to have like 4 or 5 hours of not talking to each other, and I know you're trying to give me the silent treatment. And I'll be like, what's wrong? And you're like, nothing. Talk to me about nothing. And he's just refusing. So I think it started to really chip away at my self-esteem, especially after we had kids and things like that. And I know that Frank is the kind of person that needs space when he's upset. He doesn't deal with it straight away. But bringing it to him as, listen, this is a form of abuse, is chipping away at my self-esteem. And realizing that it's a deal breaker. Like it's actually a deal breaker. And I think I said that.
You did.
Realizing for myself that actually, no, I could not stay in the marriage like this if it carried on. I was able to kind of communicate that to him and us to sit down and talk about it and actually work together about how to fix it. And one of the things Frank said to me to help me understand him was that he actually needs me to stop talking. When he's done with a discussion or it's escalated or he feels like, you know what, I'm not here for it. One of the reasons why he starts to resent me and give me the silent treatment is because I consistently carry on. And I think I said it last week when we were talking about the 10 things that don't work and some of the things that we've learned. And one of the things I've learned is do not try to force a discussion.
Don't try and resolve issue right then and there.
And so I was able to have that conversation and be like, this is a deal breaker. It's actually a form of abuse. It's emotional abuse. There may not be physical scars, but you are actually hurting me, and they're like little wounds. And I think him understanding that, because he actually loves me, he was able to explain that he wasn't trying to do that on purpose, but what was leading him to do that. So I could then take steps to not do the things that leads him to shut down, and then he could take steps to like make sure that if I'm saying to him, listen, you've shut down, he's rectifying that.
Because sometimes it could just be like in his head, it might just be a case of he's not in the right frame of mind to talk.
Yeah.
So he might not be purposely doing what he's doing. And he might not even understand that he's stonewalling.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You have to, like what you did, because I did not understand what stonewalling was. But when you sent me those articles and I read those articles, I even went beyond this article. I read even more articles. I understood it much better than we had that discussion.
Yeah.
It made me feel really, really bad because I had been doing it for such a long period of time. So it allowed me to understand what it is and what I was actually doing wrong. So I think it's worth sitting that person down, sitting your partner down, and just literally just explaining what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And putting things like, don't play games. I think sometimes, when you're talking about who can out-silence each other, don't do that. Never do that. I don't think I ever tried to out-silence. Actually, what am I talking about?
You did.
Sometimes I was like, you know what? If he's not talking to me, I'm not talking to him.
Yeah. But obviously that didn't last for long because...
you could...
Yeah.
You were a pro at that game. I was like that. I'm not going to talk. So
yeah, I know. But I'm glad that you were not like that, because that our relationship could have just faded away.
Yeah, it was.
So the fact that you brought it to me, because in my head I was not thinking, oh well, she's gonna get stonewalled today. No, that's not. It's not the case. It's just like, we've had an argument. I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes I just need some time to think to myself and just recollect my thoughts. And then.
But really, days. By the second day, you're just.
Yeah. The second day, it's like it's extreme though.
What happens when you used to get to like the second day and stuff?
By the second day, I'm embarrassed. So when you then get to that embarrassing stage, as a man, your ego is like, you do it. I'm not doing it. Or I'm not going to. I'm not owning up to it. That's between you and her. It's like, I'm telling you, you're embarrassed. So you then not want to say anything out of shame, out of embarrassment. So it's like, don't let it get that long.
So when you used to get to that embarrassed level, what were you hoping for? Did you appreciate me coming to try and break this?
That's why sometimes when you came, like, I softened up and be like,
immediately.
Thank God she came. Like, shit. I don't know what me and my ego would have done. But it's not good. It's not good, because we shouldn't be at that. We shouldn't get to that position. But when that happened, it does made it feel a bit softer. That we then talk about it. Then apologize. But that got to that point where I wasn't doing that anymore. Yeah.
I think one thing I also said to Frank, and I don't know if you'll mind me saying, but there was one thing I said to Frank where it was like, it got to the point where I wouldn't come to you anymore. And I think we actually had a discussion where we spoke about it. He apologized for doing it. And I said, from this day, I will not come to you again if you're stonewalling me. If you're silent, I will not come to you.
But that's after you brought the stonewalling to me and I understood it.
Yeah, that was
I knew what it was. Yeah.
We were, because she's asking for practical.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
First, expressing how serious it is.
Yeah.
Maybe send him some articles to show that this is a serious thing. You might not.
There's a lot of things on YouTube. There's so many videos on YouTube about stonewalling.
Yeah. But you're actually hurting me the same way that's, an abused, not exactly the same way, but an abused woman.
It's the same. It's the same as, him punching you.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the same kind of
hurt.
They leave scars.
Yeah.
And him understanding that is important. But then you also have to think to yourself, is this a deal breaker? Which is where I got to, where I was like, well, I will divorce if I have to, because I'm not going to live a life of misery and getting randomly stonewalled. So expressing that to your partner as well, like, this is so serious that this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
And then his response will then help you to kind of know what next steps are best for both of you. So in our case, for example, Frank expressed what made him get to that point. We could then map out what lets us get to that point. There were certain behaviors that I promised not to exhibit. There were certain things I promised not to do, like forcing the discussion, shouting. I wasn't always calm and feminine.
Shouting.
I wasn't always shouting like that. You have to really rile me up to get to a point where I'm shouting.
Yeah.
Like I don't default on shouting and craziness.
No.
But there was things that we put in place for our relationship. And I think that's what would happen once you do these things. Once you kind of reach out to him and say, listen, this is what you're doing. This is how serious it is. This is why it's a deal breaker. And then let him kind of take ownership of that. And if he doesn't change, if it's a deal breaker, you have to let the relationship go.
Yeah.
You can't.
If he's not willing to change, then I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's
a wrap.
It's a wrap, because you can't, especially if you're not married. I don't think they are married.
Yeah.
If you're not married, then run.
Yeah. If
Run.
he's not willing to change.
If he's not willing to change.
After explaining what it is, after he's been given that chance, and you've made it clear that it's important to you, it's a deal breaker for you, and it still does the same thing, then maybe he's not willing to change.
Yeah, maybe it's not the right person for you. If you are already married and your husband's doing this, I think show, or your wife, it could be, women do this as well.
That's true.
Some women do it really, really strongly, but bring it to them, show them how it's impacting you, decide if it's a deal breaker, and if it is, communicate that. Talk about the steps you're going to put in place to prevent that happening. And like I said, my thing was that from this day forth, I'm just not going to come to you. So he would already know I'm not even playing that game. I'm just not coming to you because we've agreed that I'm not going to come to you. So your coming to me started getting sooner and sooner and sooner, and it just kind of stopped. But I think you're going to have to work out what that strategy is together, because there's probably different things that you're doing from what I was doing, and not just to blame you, but there's also different things he needs to deal with about how he's reacting to certain things that's making him get there as well. So that's our advice. Communication, talk,
communicate,
and
be open. Just talk.
Talk to him. And don't bluff. I always say as well, don't bluff.
Don't bluff. Be willing to walk. Be willing to walk.
And that's for men and women.
And men, for both.
Men shouldn't be going through it either.
And thank you for writing in.
Yeah, and thank you for that. That's a really good one, because that's something that we've actually experienced. So okay, so that is us.
That's it. That's it today.
So that's it, guys. You've heard our views on acting like a wife or husband before marriage. You've heard what we think about the impact that culture and religion and all of that can have on it as well. We've given you some tips on how to kind of prevent this or how to avoid doing this. And also, like we said as well, it's just our view, so take from it what you will. If it resonates with you, then great, and if it doesn't, then continue doing what you're doing, because each person and each relationship is unique. Make sure you tune in next week, where we'll be talking about ... We're not going to tell you what we're going to be talking about, because we don't even know if we're going to be talking.
It's a surprise.
But make sure you tune into the next episode. Don't forget to email us any of your questions, comments, or dilemmas at itt.thepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a DM on Instagram at ITT Podcast, all one word. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll speak to you on the next one.
Bye.